Hey anglers and anglerettes, Scott Turnage. Trying to do another episode of the G3 Sportsman. This spring has been brutal on me. A guy going out just fishing could probably catch a mess of fish, but trying to shoot video and everything else has just been terrible in this wind. But today it's a pretty nice day, and I know the last time you saw me crappie fishing, I was with my boy here, Jeff Faulkenberry, which is pretty much a slam dunk or a free throw when you go with him when it comes to crappie fishing. But the main reason why I'm with Jeff today is that we are going to be showing a product that's really been anticipated coming out. And it's one of these things to where it's a love-hate thing on these. I think you probably already know about what I'm talking about. But Lowrance has come out with their new real-time, I don't know, I guess you could say live type unit called an Active Target. And I have never seen one really out on social media that's being actually used to catch fish. Jeff is the only one I know that has one. So we've got it hooked onto his boat. He had to buy it. I think he bought it 7 months ago and just got it in.
December 4th.
Yeah. So it's one of them things where he had to wait it. So without further ado, let's get to our first spot and we'll just kind of let Jeff take over the show and kind of explain what he is learning about this thing and if it works or not. So we'll just give it a try. Stay with us. You may love it, you may hate it, but whatever else, you're going to see it. And we're going to see what it's all about right here on today's G3 Sportsman. Thanks for watching. Come on. We're in our first location. We got everything set up here. I put my GoPro on the Active Target unit here. So as you can see what this is. It looks like I apologize. We got the sun behind us. He had a guide trip this morning, but we've come in here and he's got this Active Target set up here. So give us a little bit, Jeff. It's your thing now. So.
All right. Anyhow, this Active Target, everybody's been kind of waiting on this, you know, Lowrance to come out with something ahead of Live Sight, which we fished for a couple of years, and now they've done it, and you know it's a little bit different than some of the others, but so far I like it. I've only had about 2 weeks of time with it, so I'm still learning. But what makes it easier for me to learn is I can look at a fish on there and say, that's a spoonbill, or that's a buffalo, or that's a gar. And when I see, I'm starting to be able to identify those fish. Obviously, when a spoonbill, you can pretty well tell what that is. But learning the size of those fish, what's a keeper crappie, what's not a keeper crappie, what's a 1.5 pound crappie, you know, is stuff that I've been learning. We'll go through some settings stuff here a little bit, but right now there's a few fish in the area, and we're going to try to catch a few for you.
You're listening to me and seeing me right here, and then I'm overlaying it by what Jeff is seeing. I hope you can see it. I know you can see me in the screen too, but with the high sun, but you can see what he's seeing right there. And you got fish here, little fish here. That's where his cone's pointing right here. That's out this way. So you got to train your brain that this upper left-hand corner, now that's it. That's where the cone is coming out from. That's where it's shooting. See that fish right there? He's just dropping down to it. He should catch it. It's coming up to him. But where that is out here. So when you're looking at it, it's coming this way, so you'd think out here, but it's actually right there, and he caught it. So
About 6 inches under the water.
You know, so that's the thing you got to get used to is kind of like a rewiring your brain at which way that thing is. So, but you just saw it, and there we go. So that's the first fish on the Active Targets. Now you've got the gain pushed up quite a bit. Now why?
Makes my image a little bit brighter. I could see a little bit better with that gain higher. I know a lot of guys like to run it in the 70s, and I run mine kind of in the low 80s.
Yeah.
A little fish right there, spooked him.
Now, I mean, he could make it look real pretty like you see in simulators, but a crappie isn't the biggest fish, and then if he's facing you, he doesn't have as wide a profile either. So it's always a good idea to just bump your gain up or whatever. It may not look as pretty, but it may be more productive, so you'll be able to see and find more fish. Right there, you're right above him. He's swimming around. There he comes. Here he comes. Right there. Boop. Black crappie too. There he was.
Active crappie, active target.
That's what you gotta have.
There's another one right there, catch him.
I know, I'm looking. You know, Jeff, this technology that they got now in electronics, I mean, it's here to stay.
Yeah.
You know, whether, you know, you're gonna have guys that love it, and then you're gonna have guys that hate it. And what's you guide now, so what's your opinion on the live technology?
Like you said, it's here to stay. It is a whole different ball of wax. I'm not gonna say it takes the fisherman out of fishing, but essentially it does. You don't have to know any patterns. You don't have to know, you know, I mean, any guy can pretty much go out, throw down a trolling motor and see a fish, you know. And now targeting the right fish, targeting the right depths, targeting the right baits, whatever, that's where your fisherman part's gonna come in, those instincts. You're gonna have to know what you're doing. But as for, you know, going out and finding fish, yeah, everyone can go find fish.
Yeah. Not
everyone can catch those fish, but everyone can go find fish.
Now that, to me, looked like a keeper crappie. Yeah. Out there about 15 foots. Yep. See, that's odd, because he's not on the tree unless there's something else down there. Because that's him right there.
I'm all up in his junk.
Now he's following it. There he is. Got him. That was it. See? Nice white crappie too. Okay, now, you can see that Jeff's got that fish. Now look here. See, look how far away from that tree. Now in the old days, there we go, we're touching swords again now. We don't be touching swords. Now in the old days, what would we do, Jeff?
We'd have went up there, dipped that tree, nothing, and then rolled out.
And you caught that fish 20 foot?
Yeah, about 20 feet away from that tree.
20 feet.
Just sitting out here in the open. And we're in 14 feet of water, and this fish was about 5 foot down.
So see, you just learn stuff so much about these fish. It's a great tool to help you catch more fish or whatever. But then again, where can they hide?
They can't hide.
They can't hide.
You know, one thing I want to remind folks is now that this live fishing is coming into play and everybody's being more successful, that's great. But I'm glad that a lot of people are being more conservation minded. You know, it's not, you don't have to keep every fish you catch these days. And a lot of people are going over to that, whether it be all sportsmen across the country, whether they're deer hunting, you know, they're managing their own farms, deer hunting, whether they're fishing, whether they're, you know, whatever. Everybody's managing conservation a lot better. And I want to thank everybody for that and keep up the good work on that. And because this type of fishing, you can really go out and whack them, and
they can get you in trouble too.
Yeah, a crappie's worst predator is another crappie, but his second worst predator is you and I. So, you know, make sure you keep that in mind. You don't have to keep all the limits, and thank everybody for doing that as we go here. So, but no, Active Target I think is going to be a huge addition to my arsenal for sure, and I think to a lot of people out there because it's user friendly. You just plug and play, and you see the fish, and you put a bait in front of the fish, and that's about the name of the game. You know, as we're fishing these creeks in the early springtime, we're starting to get back. It's a little later in the day. I had a guide trip this morning, so we're getting out a little bit later, but as the sun gets higher and it warms up, the backs of these creeks always warm up first. We're going all the way back in these creeks, but we're scanning with our 2D sonar and our side scan. And you can see we're in 17 feet of water, 60-degree water temperature, but right here about 10 foot, these marks right here are the guys we're looking for. on our 2D sonar. You can see the brush pile coming up right there. Some of these hedge trees out to our right. I'm gonna pause that right there and blow that up, because in these hedge trees you can see all these little white dots. And that right there is who we're looking for. So now we know this is a target-rich environment. We're gonna throw the trolling motor down and use our active target to pick them off one at a time.
Now what are you doing real quick when you first get it and you turn it on? Is it kind of pretty much set to go?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much ready to rock and roll. I mean, it's all going to be user preference is the only settings that you're really going to change. I mainly crappie fish. And in crappie fishing, we're usually catching fish no more than 15, 16 foot down, whether we're in 30 foot of water or fishing just off the bottom in 15 foot. But a few of my basic settings that I like, I'm gonna run my downrange at 20 because I'm really not gonna chase fish past there. There's a good fish right there. And my forward range out to 30. And that's just kind of a good range to be able to spot a fish coming before he spooks, if they are spooky. And then I run my contrast up just to see how that fish right there just spooked. I run my contrast up a little higher.
Good and two. Good and two. Now, was you active targeting him or was you dipping a tree?
Well, a little of both. there was 3 of them right there together. And I had you shooting for one.
I think you was dipping a tree.
Hit that minnow, boy.
He's sniffing it. Look at that. That was a good one. Coming up. He got it. He got it. There you go. A dandy too. Yes, sir.
I think the hardest thing, a couple of the hardest things, if I give you 2 tips, is one, figuring out when you pitch how far ahead of the boat is 15 feet, 20 feet, 25 feet, because we're pitching to these fish, and the further we can pitch out to them, the less spooked they are. Once they get up close to the boat, then they get a little spooky. But figuring out, what's a 20-foot pitch, what's a 25-foot pitch, what's a 15-foot pitch, that's number 1. And 2 is identification. Knowing what's a little bitty old dinky crappie and what's a keeper crappie. Your off fish, you're gonna be able to tell. You're gonna see a carp, you're gonna see a spoonbill, you're gonna see a gar, you're gonna see that kind of stuff. You're gonna be able to tell what those are. But knowing the size of those fish and knowing what those fish, the fish identification is gonna be the 2 biggest things. I think you'll pick up on that angle pretty quick because you always just remember that you're shooting out. No matter where the trolling motor is pointing, you're shooting out. You're not shooting to the left, you're not shooting to the right, you're shooting out no matter what.
Yep.
But seeing that fish at 20 and being able to make an accurate pitch to that fish, to where that bait swings right by that fish, no matter where he is on the water column, is absolutely key.
Well, it works. You got to see it here. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and we're gonna get on. We may catch a few more fish. I'm getting a little bit chilly, and so we may practice a little bit, or he may let me try to catch a few and see what happens. And your minnow's all messed up. We'll carry on. Catch you again the next time. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you somewhere next time right here on the G3 Sportsman. Thanks for watching.